Welcome to Unlocking Human Potential with me, Andy Hosgood, a show dedicated to exploring what it really takes psychologically, behaviourally and practically to help humans thrive through conversations with leaders, founders, coaches, behavioural experts and people shaping how humans perform and grow. Is this for you? But if you're a leader, a founder, a business owner or an ambitious professional who wants to do more than just perform, they want to grow, inspire and bring the best out in themselves and their people, then keep listening, because the mission is simple: to explore how individuals and teams unlock potential in themselves, in others and the organisations they shape. Every episode is a deep but relaxed conversation built around three core questions. How do you optimise yourself? How do you unlock potential in others? And the best advice for you, the listener. Now over to the episode. Really hope you find it helpful and insightful. Bob, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Really well, thank you. So today's guest, Bob Beswick, former professional rugby league player, Ireland international, and now one of the leading voices using sport to change lives off the field. Across his career, spanning more than 400, is that right? Professional appearances, Bob played for clubs including Wigan, Widnes, Halifax, Leigh, Toronto and Newcastle, while earning 26
Correct.
international caps for Ireland. Bob's story didn't stop when the final whistle blew. Today, he's the wellbeing program manager at Rugby League Cares, an independent charity dedicated to enhancing lives through the power of sport, delivering support, mental fitness programs and education in players, communities and organisations across the UK. From helping young people to build mental resilience, to supporting NHS staff and professional athletes, Bob now channels his elite sport and experience to helping others unlock their potential. His journey is a masterclass in leadership, service, and what happens when performance meets purpose. Thank you for joining me.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
For me, when we were looking at doing this, I've had the privilege of having many conversations with you over a long time.
Many in changing rooms.
Many in changing rooms. Many at the side of boxing rings with you sticking your finger in my ruptured Achilles tendon, which is always a highlight of my.
And mine, top three.
And one of the things I've loved about you is, all the way through your career, you obviously played a real high level of elite sport, but it's more. That is important, but one of the reasons I loved about you is just your realness. We've always had quite deep and honest conversations, and I think the way you wear your heart on your sleeve, and especially the work you're doing now, is amazing. And it, you're smiling because, and when I've listened to you about the work you're doing, your smile is quite internally, externally in it. You can see the smile on your face, but you can feel the energy that you bring. So I'm really looking forward to the conversation.
Well, I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit more. Looking forward to it as well.
Good. But hopefully you feel the same at the end.
Yeah, we'll see us all, won't we?
Yeah. So we always kind of start the podcast with something you're curious about. So what are you curious about at the moment?
I'm curious about religion at the minute.
Okay.
So I'm not of any faith.
Yeah.
I have many close friends that are various faiths. It fascinates me.
Right.
I like to challenge myself because I used to be of a certain opinion about certain beliefs, certain religions, ways to coach, philosophies on life, etc. And as we'll get into in this conversation, things change for the better. So I'm just being a little bit more open-minded about everything.
Okay.
And it fascinates me. And I still don't know. I've no idea. But I really enjoy listening to people that have, their mind made up. They preach, they live by a certain set of values, which religion allows them to. And they feel fulfilled, purposeful, sense of community. There's so many great things that religion does provide. Yet it's not wavering my position, which I find interesting as well.
Yeah.
So, that's what I'm curious about at the minute.
Nice.
I love that question, by the way.
Thank you.
You mentioned it quite a bit. I've listened to your podcast. And the reason that I reference that is because I've got a tattoo on my arm.
Okay.
Me and my wife do this quite a bit. It's
Okay.
about staying curious.
Oh, really?
So I've got a picture of it.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so.
Well, I think it underpins, and it's a selfish question because I think it underpins me as a human. I think that my I would say curiosity is that something that kind of underpins a lot of who I am. So I always think I think I've always been quite a curious soul, and I think the work I do in the coaching world and the way where I spend my world now, I think being curious, and I think, to lean into Ted Lasso series, I've always found if I can lean into curiosity over judgmental, I have better conversations.
Yeah. You're only good at darts, though.
No.
Yeah.
So don't you? So the good news is with that is I wouldn't be putting the football club on a line over a darts thing.
No, it's a great way to live. I find it quite liberating, to be honest. Not always been as curious as I am now. But yeah, Ted Lasso, what a show. That's why I've got the moustache. Literally.
Right.
I went as Ted Lasso at a fancy dress party in Manchester.
Okay.
Kept it ever since.
Awesome. I love that. And you wear it well. And I also appreciate that.
You're giving a lot of compliments today. I'm waiting for the...
No, it's a complimentary show. It's all about you.
Yeah.
So the kind of theme of the podcast, really quite straightforward and simple. I'd like to explore how we optimize ourselves and how we get the best out of ourselves as humans. So I'd love to, you can take that in whichever way you want to go. You can take it on the way of, your career as an athlete, what you've done, 400 appearances in a really tough sport and still really competitive. We have to share the gym with you and the mat with you and we realize how competitive you are. So that it could be, or any advice that you've been given along your professional journey or that you now do as a coach, because I know you're also strength and conditioning, what you could then do to get the best out of ourselves. And then part 2 is about how we kind of take some of those skills and help people get the best out of others.
Yeah.
So I think it's great that when we can get the best out of ourselves, but also getting the best out of others, I think can be a superpower, especially for people in leadership, business, or in coaching positions. Yeah. And then what I'd like to do at the end is kind of wrap it up. I think if people have given us 50 minutes or so of their time to listen to us having a conversation, which I know we're going to be full of insights because I know you well enough, you're probably going to be humble enough to turn around and say, nah, well, but it will, because I think you've got so much to share. Then how do we pull it together so people can actually take it? Because I think sometimes the skill is, okay, so what?
Yeah.
What is the point? Yeah. What can people take from this to do it? So, and then, yeah. So if we start with kind of, how do we optimize ourselves as humans? I'm curious where that lands with you.
How do we optimize ourselves?
And you can say, go on.
That's a good question. And I know it's been coming. So I think, speaking personally, I need to get the big things in place first. I need to be almost selfish to start with.
Okay.
So that means I'll prioritize my physical health.
Yeah.
Prioritize sleep. Prioritize eating good food, training well, being around good people. And that's really important for me. For me, what that does then, it energizes me. It gives me the bandwidth in the day to handle, working for Rugby League is an amazing job, so fulfilling. Yet, if I'm not physically prepared, then my mental state isn't supporting my job. So I'm doing it a disservice. I'm doing the people a disservice. So I need to put myself first. It means I go to bed at 8:30. My wife always laughs at me. You go to bed, it's 8 o'clock. Like, yeah, because I'm up at 4 and I'm doing these things. Yeah. But it's important to me. Yeah. Really understanding wife and partner. So she's great about that. So yeah, for me, it starts with the big things: sleep, nutrition, exercise.
Can I just pull something up?
Yeah.
You used the word selfish.
Yeah.
But can I just reframe?
Love to.
So you said it's selfish that I put myself first, but then you went on to give all the examples of why it's important, because it gives you the best version to others. And it's something I think we do. I think a lot of people do. And the reason I pull you up is when I spend a lot of time with leaders or busy people, it's the bit that they sacrifice. I don't look after myself. There's almost a badge of honor to, I've skipped the training session because I had to, I worked late. Yeah. Or, well, I
I've only got 4 hours sleep because that's showing I'm working hard. But actually, what they're not recognising is turning up to work suboptimal, and everyone around them isn't getting the best version of themselves. Where you turn around and go, well, actually, I make sure I look after myself, I eat well, I sleep well, I train well, so that when I turn up to work, people get the best version of me.
Absolutely. It's self-care, isn't it? Not self-care.
Self-care, and that's the reframe, yeah.
I think the values of being consistent, disciplined, they've stuck with me through rugby, so I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, don't get me wrong, if the little girl's sick, my wife needs something doing, I'll go and do it. However, 99% of the time, it's me investing in myself to be the best version, so yeah.
But we almost say that apologetically.
We do. It's a very British thing to do.
Yeah, it's almost like, whereas, we can go off on loads of cheesy analogies, of which if I find one should. Yeah. There's the whole thing of why you should put your own oxygen mask on first. How can we, if we can't breathe, then we're no good to anybody else, are we?
What would you do?
Always put it on first, yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I feel awful thinking about that.
No, but again, there's an element, isn't there? But, I always think that, but I'm very like you. I've got a job in the world where I've got to turn up and be the best I can be. I've got to be present.
Yeah.
So that means planning along in advance. If I turn up somebody and someone's given up an hour of their time for me to sit down and have a conversation with them, I want to make sure that I'm in the best thing.
Yeah.
I'm best fueled. I was in bed early last night. I got all the things I need to do so that I can be fully present in the moment and that I've got no distractions. But I always think that's respectful of the person as well.
Yeah, I get that. You're respectful of my time, right? And obviously the conversations that we're having, it's so important. It's so important. You see it a lot, though. Like you mentioned, like leaders burning the candle at both ends. I don't have time to do the gym. I don't have time to do this. It's like, you do, just choosing not to.
Yeah, but it's the consequence of what, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm curious then, where of those traits that you do go to bed early, all of those things, where have they all come from? Is that something that you've learned along the way? Is that something natural, or is that?
I think at the minute, the reason why I go to bed early and wake up at that time is largely due to my age.
Okay.
The fact that I've got a job and I have to go to real work and actually make a living now. So yeah, I just work like all performance. You have a fight, a competition, a game. You work back from that. So if I'm training at 6 o'clock in the morning, I know 7.5 hours sleep. I need to get in bed by this time. I need to have my last meal by this time. It's definitely structured. It's definitely something that's been embedded in me from my rugby career.
Yeah.
Discipline, almost institutionalized into what we were, where we turn up, how we perform, what's right, what's wrong. All these kind of, you could say, sometimes negative influences from rugby, but for me, I've used it in a healthy way, and I think it's healthy anyway. I'm having fun.
I'm actually really glad to hear that, because I think part of life should be also about having fun, isn't it? You know, and I think that is having a laugh along the way. Certainly for me, is quite important.
Yeah.
There are times maybe I need to be a bit more serious, but even though people often say on pictures, certainly my face tells everybody I'm always serious. So I'm just, I guess the curiosity then comes from thinking about your career and how you've done, along that career, what have you, what's the main things that you've picked up? So you talk about your routine now.
Yeah.
Is that routine something that was learned or forced, or?
Yeah, it's forced.
It was forced,
as
yeah.
So I started in a Wigan Warriors team
Yeah.
full of players like Terry Newton, Andy Farrell, Terry O'Connor. You've got all these people that you want to try and impress.
Okay.
So I needed to replicate the behaviours they were doing.
Right.
Because then I'd fit in and I'd be part of the team. That
Okay.
was my initial battle going into the first team. So these things of turning up when you've been out drinking, you turn up the next day and you flog yourself. There's no necessarily science to that. Yet there's a toughness that you had to display for
Yeah.
the team to fit in. So I did that, and it's something that I do now. Very rarely when I do go out, I make sure I go and train. I think hangovers are made up. I don't think they're real, but much to the test of my life. But no, these things have been embedded in me. The people that I wanted to respect me. So I wanted to replicate their behaviours. Sometimes I got it wrong. Sometimes I replicated the behaviours when it wasn't so healthy.
Yeah.
But again, I just wanted to fit in and be a part of a team. So then, yeah, I wasn't completely self-aware. That is being generous. I was not self-aware growing up. Very little self-awareness. Meaning that I didn't feel I had the emotional intelligence, the skills to verbalise what was going on in my mind. Like if something felt, say a senior player was doing something, I was like, I'll do that. Rather than, this doesn't feel right. My granddad would not be happy with me doing this.
Okay.
But yeah, go and do it.
Okay.
So then, obviously, coming in towards the back end of my career, I felt like that figured itself out.
Okay, so you were almost modelling behaviours.
Yeah. Even
though part of you was recognising that those behaviours probably wouldn't have been acceptable by your granddad, did you say? Was he?
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time with my grandparents growing up. My dad worked night shifts, there was 4 of us. My dad was, he did well to keep most of his hair for as long as he did, to be honest. But yeah, we'd spend a lot of time with my grandparents. So I had a really healthy relationship with seniors. I really respect them. They've got the ducks in a row. I use that phrase. I was going to say them.
I like it.
So yeah, and I like to use that as sort of my baseline to say, would Nan and Grandad like this? But obviously, you don't always do what you think is. You don't always act how you should when you're younger, do you? So I'm grateful for those years, and I didn't get seriously injured or anything.
but also it's part of a journey, isn't it? And I think sometimes, one of the reasons why I loved when I asked you and you accepted this was the fact that we've all been on a journey, and one of the things with you runs this honesty, isn't it? You're at a point, and you talked around self-awareness. And I'm making a bold statement. I think an awful lot of people, even as 4-year-old adults, you're over 40 now, aren't you?
41.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Still haven't got that self-awareness.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And so it's, for you talking about that, so by you modelling others, even though you knew it wasn't right, but you were like, well, I want to fit in. And I'm assuming this is part of that elite sport culture of trying to fit in, especially as a young athlete trying to break into a team. I guess that's almost, you don't want to upset the apple cart, do you?
No, absolutely. There's things I probably could have done differently, whether that's verbalising disagreements with things, by sulking.
Okay.
You get some bad feedback, you get dropped, sulk. No coach wants to see that. Being on the other side of that and seeing your athlete sulk, it's like you can spot it a million miles away, can't you? Actually, what's good for the team environment is being supportive and training hard and getting your head stuck into work. But yeah, you learn that along the way, don't you? I'm a lot more open-minded than I used to be. I used to be quite fixed-minded.
Okay.
Linking back to what we're speaking about with religion. So I think that's something. Discipline, definitely. Consistency. But adding on to that now, through experience of messing up, making mistakes, is a willingness to learn, being all right about that.
And I think it's accepting that messing up and learn and making mistakes is part of your journey.
Yeah.
Isn't it? But also, and I don't know what your thoughts on this, is that we're all going to do it. We're all going to make mistakes, because I think it's almost impossible to go through life and not. I find it very interesting. I know you've got a young daughter. How Isabel's constantly going, what happens if I get things wrong? And I went, you're 13, you're at school. You're supposed to.
Yeah.
Learning isn't about getting things right all the time. Learning actually is going, well, if you get something wrong now and you remember it and you learn it, you're probably going to get it right when it's important.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think there's going to be lots of people listening that have made mistakes along the way and probably still hold on to them, guilt for them. But actually, they become a part of who we are now, are the versions of us now, as long as we're willing to change.
Yeah, definitely. Parenting is good fun for that, isn't it? Especially when they use it back on you.
Yeah, there's some real life feedback.
Yeah, especially daughters. For me, anyway, I've got some learning to do about teenage daughters. But yeah, and I hold myself accountable to my wife, but ultimately my daughter through my behaviour. So what's she seeing every day, every moment? If I'm asking her to be on time and I'm running late, what's she seeing?
Yeah.
If I'm saying that we can have a conversation about anything, but then I shut her down and say that's just the way it is, which she's actually used on me. She said, well, Dad, you said we can say anything.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're right, actually. Let's have a conversation about it. She keeps me accountable.
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
But what a superpower to give a child at such an age where, one, to give them the freedom to go, okay, this is how we should behave, but also recognizing that, she now feels more empowered. As how old is she now?
8.
She's more empowered as 8, whereas to pull you up than you were as a young athlete when you were seeing other people's behaviours.
Yeah.
If you imagine if she can continue that, that's a superpower as an adult, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's what it is, isn't it? It's like just reflecting as you're saying that, and I'm like, right, okay.
Yeah.
Unlocked. Nice, Andy.
So can I just, if I could take you back, and if you're comfortable talking about, you said that part of your early journey was, it was quite a closed mindset, but now you opened, with your curiosity question, you've got a really open mindset. What's gone on in that journey to change from that to that? Is there anything has there been any pivotal moments, or has it just been a steady growth? I'd be curious to.
Yeah, so the discipline aspect of it, that was always part of my identity. I was fit, I was disciplined. Never the most explosive athlete, never the biggest, whatever, but I always got by. Bob, he'll play, he's good, he's reliable. Yeah, never exceptional, which is fine. But then throughout my career, I kind of just played within myself a lot.
Okay.
So internally, I didn't know this. Internally, I wanted to express myself because I find that quite fun, enjoyment about the game. But coaches coach this rigidity into me.
Okay.
Or whether I allowed that. But like I said to you at the start, I don't have the skills to verbalise what was going on. So I just felt, why can I not do this? I'm getting frustrated. Take it out on myself. Take it out on other people. So then that was part of my thing is like I'm playing to not make mistakes to get into the team. So I'm playing through fear a lot of the time. The time where I could express myself was in defence, so I'd fly out the line and try and do something because the consequences wasn't as significant. I never hurt anybody really. I hurt myself more than I hurt other people. I'll come on to that in a minute. So yeah, for me it was quite rigid in my approach to the game, playing through fear, playing to try and impress coaches, and in reality, I was feeling very, dissatisfied with myself because I wanted to express myself. Certain coaches absolutely give me the freedom to play, but then going back to why I've got this mindset now, it links. So I was playing for a team called Toronto Wolfpack, the world's first transatlantic sports team.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. I was there from the start. We did well, spent loads of money, more money than we ever had, which is why it doesn't exist anymore. But that being said, we was playing in a game in our second year called the £1 Million game, which was a grand final essentially to get from Championship into Super League. Now this, long story short, would have provided so much validation on my career. I always felt like I deserved to be in Super League. I could hang with the best players, and I'd look at any team sheet and I think I'm better than them. But then didn't follow through with it, through life choices and whatever. And obviously, ego plays a big part of being a league player, doesn't it? Especially when you're not the biggest. But anyway, I was playing in this game. We played against London Broncos in October 2018. And we was overwhelming favourites. We beat them, we battered them a few weeks before, actually. I've never been convinced of anything more in my life that we were going to be victorious. It was my 400th professional game as well. My dad flew over from Wigan to Toronto to watch me, specifically for this game. I'm like, well, all the stars are aligned. This is it. This is my plan. Of course it makes sense. I was married at the time. And then it turned out to be the worst game of rugby league ever, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm biased. We got beat 4-2. It was a trialist game. The only trialist game I've ever played in. So for those that aren't familiar with rugby league, it's different to rugby union, less kicks, more expansive gameplay, faster, etc. In the last 10 seconds, I thought we could still win this. Because why not? It's the plan. So I sprinted out the line to try and smash somebody and tackled him with my head. So I ended up getting stiff on the cactus, I think they call it. I was on the floor.
Oh gosh.
The last 10 seconds. So I don't remember I don't remember the game. I came round in the changing rooms, started trying to make sense of it, asking people multiple times what happened. Obviously, that had a significant impact on me, but also my family as well. It was terrifying for my family. Scary for me. It was probably my biggest fear during my career, actually, getting knocked out cold like that. Don't want that.
No.
I don't want that. So yeah, what happened then? It was a big journey. So I struggled with my mental health. So I was experiencing depression. I was in the lowest point where all these sort of things were coming back up. I was getting various messages from certain people, and yeah, I just hit rock bottom. I was like, I'm done. I've had enough. So you can use your imagination to what that is. And I thought, right, I need to do something. So in that moment, I wasn't considerate of my daughter or my life, my parents, my family, anything like that. I was just like, don't get me out of here. But I didn't, which is good. Nothing happened. And I remember I was at the Trafford Centre and I sent a text message. I was like, I don't feel good. I need some help. I remember sending it. I was crying when I sent it. The Trafford Centre, middle of the day. And it was to a charity that I now work full time for.
Okay.
So 2018, they offered me support to get therapy, put in touch with another charity at the time, Sporting Chance. Work with the therapist, work through a lot of stuff. And not like it's a quick fix. It's not one session and done, is it? I worked on myself hard, to the point where like personal growth and development now is something that I'm obsessed with.
Okay.
But I'm so grateful for that journey, the people around me, the people that stood by me, supported me. And I learned a lot about myself. Actually, what's valuable to me, what's important, what matters. And finally stood up and spoke about things that were bothering me for a long time to people, to individuals. It meant leaving my daughter. It meant doing all these things, which, you know, as a dad, losing the daughter, access, all them kind of things, it kills you. So that didn't help. I was working with a therapist, got through everything, and it's something that I honestly think changed my life. I genuinely do. So it's probably the best moment of my career, getting knocked out in Toronto. Thinking at the time.
No.
But that's where my mindset came from. That's
Wow.
where my mindset came from. It's like, all right, you've been through worse than this. You've been through this before. You know the drill. You know what to do. Work at yourself. Remove distractions. Connect with people that you value and that you trust. Get through it.
It's very powerful, isn't it?
I think so. It's doing me all right. So I appreciate life so much more now. Appreciate life. Small. Practice mindfulness when I can. Yeah, we're here to live, aren't we?
Yeah, we are, and I guess that, you know, and hopefully not everybody has to go through what is quite a scary and what feels quite a deep emotional journey. Yeah, there's certainly a level. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that firstly, because I think
You're welcome.
I didn't know that story.
Not many people do.
No.
Maybe a few more do.
Might be a few more now.
It's all good.
No, but you know what I appreciate about you sharing that is that was obviously a very, very challenging time. And I'm not even going to attempt to imagine what it was like to the point where you had to then make that phone call. But the fact that you found some inner strength in you to make that phone call, you know, and then the consequence of that is the person you are today, and, you know, how you opened up when we talked about, you know, the proud dad in you, and, you know, when you were downstairs before, you know, before this, you know, FaceTiming your daughter, and I see that all the time, and the person you are, and probably now the role model you are to her. You know, I think it's a privilege that you've shared that story with us today, and I think it's, you know, it's quite a brave thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think it's important, especially for some people that are going through some tough times as well. That you know, it's subjective, isn't it? You know, it's individual, but for me, that was a low point, but also so pivotal. It's so pivotal. And I'm thinking back to what I relied on during them times, because I didn't have much knowledge about this. Surface level experience of feeling low, like we all do, feel low, feel a bit moody, but I just relied on discipline. So it's like, right, okay, I need structure, I need discipline. So these things that I had to do to be an athlete, I was like, right, I need to do this now. I'd organise my day, get to it, turn up to the gym, could not be bothered training, hated it. I always liked training. go and do it. And you slowly start moving a little bit further forward, don't you? But no, I appreciate the opportunity to share it. I think it's quite common, and yeah, I feel good sharing that.
And I appreciate you doing it. I guess the bit for me that I think it shines some light on is that, when people were to meet you, I've always described, when I was describing you to Nick before it, and I said, like, energy, and that was how I just said, the lads just brings energy at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Might be the new tonic.
He's not. I said that. No, but it's,
yeah.
He's in bright colours. He brings energy. He brings fun. He brings connection. He brings humour. And, but again, it comes to, when we look at people, we never really know what's going on behind the scenes, do we? There's that moment of going, and it's that respectfulness of people that we never really know what's going on in someone's world. And I would generally, going into this, said I thought I knew a lot about you, and still, I didn't know that story. So how does, and it obviously sounds like the charity then was quite a big part of that support.
Yeah.
So how did it then transpire that you ended up working for them?
Yeah, so it's a good question. I worked through the issues in 2018, and that's not, it was a 1-week job. You're talking 12 months of working, feeling better, working. It was a long process. 2021, I believe, I was playing up at Newcastle, feeling good, really enjoying my game, curious about life, but the body was just slowing down a little bit.
Okay.
3G artificial pitch, and I was in negotiations with the club to carry on. I was captain at the time, captain of Newcastle. I really loved the club, loved the players. And then I also had a meeting with our director of welfare, which is Steve McCormack, ex-coach of mine, and just catching up about career transition. He said, "Have you got any plans after the game when you finish?" He said, "I want you to carry on for another year." I'm like, "Steve, I think I'm done." And this was me going back and forward. I said, "No," I said, "You're a long time retired. You should finish." But the negotiations broke down with Newcastle, and I was in the kitchen when I got an email, and I said to my wife, "That's me, I'm done, I'm retired." So I had a catch up with him again. I said, "Well, we do some, work with former athletes that come and deliver programs." I said, "Come and have a look, see what you think." So that was 4.5 years ago. So I did, came down, had a look, enjoyed it. Wow, I'm all aboard. I love it, absolutely love it.
So just for listeners then, what is the kind of work that the charity does?
So the charity works through the community. So it supports the community through various different mental health programs. It supports those seriously injured through the Benevolent Fund. It also supports the players in the game. So we offer support for the welfare managers down at each club. It does so much. We're global implementation partners for Movember. We deliver to NHS. We deliver projects starting in Blackburn with Darwin, which is free to those with the local postcode. We work down in London. We're all over the place. We're a charity that cares about people through various different routes, and I'm really grateful to be a part of that.
So one of the things that for me is that you've obviously been on your own journey and you've developed your own skills with some support from others. Obviously the sport in general's offered you some skills that you've then done, and then you've shared your quite a scary moment in 2018 that kind of it led to a big pivotal change in things. How then do you take the skills that you've done and how do you now help and support other people? Because, you've obviously, there's a lot of, I'm assuming not everyone has to go through the journey that you've gone, and everyone is on their own individual journey. So now how, as part of the role that you do, how do you then help people get the best out of themselves? What kind of skills have you adopted, learned to now become almost a coach position?
Yeah, that's interesting. I was thinking about, when you drive to these conversations, you reflect a lot, which is a big tool of mine at the minute, reflection. Obsessed by that as well. But I've had so many great coaches. I've had some crap ones as well, but so many great coaches that have taught me a lot. And what they showed, just thinking back, was they cared about the role, but they cared about the person as well. So for me, that was a big learning point from Derek Birchall at Deanery High School. Cared about me a lot, gave me a lot of self-confidence, belief, allowed me to make mistakes, give me freedom. Jed Byrne took me to and from training when I was at Wigan Academy. Again, unpacked the philosophies of the game. But cared about me, picked me up, didn't have to do that. And I think I was rolling his cigarettes at one point. It's quite funny, it just kept it flash back into my mind. Sean Wayne, big, always been honest with me, regardless of whether he's been coaching me or not. A lot of respect for Sean. Mike Gregory, he coached me at Wigan, he gave me my first team debut. Deeply cared about people. So that's what I kind of try and replicate with my, whether it's I'm connecting to a group, delivering a mental fitness session in York on a building site, or I'm coaching an elite athlete. I need to understand the person. I know you've spoken about this in the past in your podcast, but it's connection. I used to be very rigid in my coaching as well.
Okay.
So very rigid as to say, this is the plan. I don't care how little sleep you've got. I don't care what emotional state you're in. You're doing the plan. And if you don't, you're wrong. And it's like, ego driven, whether it's dictatorial, whatever it is. But I found that I didn't necessarily enjoy it. It was conflict. I don't enjoy conflict. I don't like it. I seek it when we train together. That's controlled, I don't like conflict because quite a sensitive guy. So I'm like, wow, what could I have done better there? And anyway, getting to know the people, meet them where they are, rather than try and dictate, what the session should look like. So yeah, just try and get on with people, share a little bit about my life, maybe show a bit of vulnerability, connect with them. If I'm talking to women, I'll speak about my daughter, my mum, my wife, all these kind of things that you just pick up along the way. And you just see people breathe. Because the reality is, going into a mental fitness session, people are nervous. They don't feel like opening up and sharing. So I'll probably lead with some vulnerability and a little bit of background about me. I'm a nice guy. It's okay. I've got a daughter. All these kind of things. With my nails, do you like this? That kind of stuff. And then with coaching, it's understanding what the athlete needs, but getting to know the athlete at a deep level. Yeah, I've known Mike Grundy for getting on 15 years now. Yeah. Used to really bug me when I was late. But I get it now. When you've got 15 kids, I remember he's got 20 athletes he's coaching. I remember thinking one moment, Mike wants to be 5 minutes late, and he's all right with that.
Yeah.
So it did, and my mindset changed. Just understanding people a little bit more, caring more about people, and I found like I enjoyed it more. The sessions were better.
Do you think that comes from, like you've said, your development of your self-awareness?
Mm.
And it's, I love the saying, meeting people where they are.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important, isn't it? Because this is all about you, boss. Yeah. I've got my little saying is that when I walk into a room and I deliver a workshop, I would never assume that everyone would look the same.
Mm.
So why don't I assume everyone would think and learn the same?
Right.
With the analogy being that, I've got to very quickly understand when I'm running, delivering anything, or any person I'm working with, is I do not understand where they are, what they're coming with, what's had, what's going on in their world, what has gone in their world, what trauma they've had in their world, they're bringing. So I've got to be very mindful that when we're delivering content or having a conversation, that I've got to be almost, I use the saying, behavioural flexibility.
Yeah.
So how do I match the energy in the room, if the behaviour changes, of somebody leaning to curiosity, of going, okay, so why is that a reaction? And I think that does, in my opinion, sit from self-awareness and then the emotional intelligence and learn when to adapt. And it sounds like that's part of what underpins a lot of who you are today.
Yeah, definitely. I like that. Is there an energy that you feel in the room if something's not going well? Because we've all delivered something and it's gone, oh.
Oh, 100%.
How do you read that? Is it internal?
Yeah, it's a feeling for me.
Yeah.
I think for me as a feeling, I use the word connection. And what's very interesting for me was, I'll share. So when I present, I feel an energy in the room and I feel a connection in the room. And I've almost pre-framed what I say when I go on stage.
Okay.
To almost, partly to set my tone and energy or my vibration, however you want to do it, right? So I come onto the stage with a self-belief that I'm there to help, not to preach.
Yes. Love that.
And as long as I'm telling myself that before I go on, I'm trying to be helpful, not preachy, then my mindset is that, and so my vibration energy is that. And I often get that back, right? And I can feel if there's people not, which is cool because I also accept that not everyone's going to like me. I'd be very egotistical to think, or naive to think everybody that I've ever come across is ever going to like me. So, but then when things during the COVID period where we had to do conferences presenting to a laptop, I really struggled. Really, really struggled because I couldn't see an audience. And what I realized from that is actually it's the energy, it's these conversations, the connections in conversations that I buzz off.
Yeah.
And I think if I lose that, then I have to be curious of why.
Yeah, I like that. Give you energy to the audience.
I think people generally do.
Yeah.
I think, but I also think if I'm in social, so I would describe myself as, in group situations, they actually drain energy from me. And so I could run a workshop, but then I need to lie down in a dark room, because I can have a one-to-one conversation with you and come out with skipping and buzzing.
Yeah.
But I've recognised that about myself, so I manage my own self well. Does that make sense? If I've had to go to a group situation, I know the following day I'm going to be suboptimal. So I wouldn't put me a best meeting in, or I have to make sure I'm better optimising my self-care routine to make sure, because I know that will take a massive thing out of me.
Yeah, self-awareness, isn't it?
I think so, and I think it's important. So how do you then get that in others? So obviously that's, for you, it sounds like it's been quite a transformational shift from being a bit more of a growth mindset.
Measurable. So I've got 2 lines there. My wife says I need Botox.
Wonderful, just as you are, yeah.
God, smile.
But it's one of those things, isn't it? How do you then encourage other people to do that? Is that part of the journey that you take people on? Or how do you think we can do that?
Well, if we go back to the point of meeting people where they are, the first thing, they need to be ready to change.
Okay.
They need to have the mindset or a willingness or a curiosity to at least engage in a conversation.
Yeah.
So I think it's shine there's various readiness to change questionnaires you could do. There's so many things that you could see whether that person's at a different stage of change. But yeah, for me, I share where I'm at, share my journey. I think for them, it just depends. It just depends on the person. If you're talking about a mental fitness workshop, they're usually there because they're invested, unless they've been forced to, unless it's mandatory from the company. So they usually have like-minded people who come with book recommendations. They'll hang on to things that you share. They'll be willing to share things themselves as well. So that's really good. With athletes, I think it's a tough gig, isn't it? It's a tough gig because you've got family dynamics, you've got coach relationships, you've got all these things entwined into this mess. And for me as an SSE practitioner, it's just like, I'm just trying to put some fires out and make sure this person feels good before they go onto the pitch. Yeah. So I don't know is your answer. Okay.
Do you need to know, I guess, is the question?
Not for me. I don't think so.
But I think the reason why I asked that question is important because there'll be people listening that feel like they need to know all the answers to everything. And sometimes the question is, do we need to know? Or is it just, I know what I know now, and if I'm on my journey of developing and growing, I might find that out in the future. But actually, there's always certain things which, we might never know. So why do we worry about stuff?
It got me in trouble before, thinking I knew everything. and then it wasn't enjoyable. So I like to go into situations with less of an opinion, less assumptions, just try and understand and work with the person. Humans are fascinating. They absolutely fascinate me. The behaviour. I sit in the coffee shop and watch people all day. I'm like, what are you up to? Where are you going? Not like a weird way, but don't follow them. But yeah, and again, I'll mention my wife because she's very similar in that regard. Okay. Very, very curious about life and people. So yeah, I don't think I've got a great answer for you there, other than.
I don't think there needs to be a great answer. I think, for me, if you lead in with curiosity, and one of the things I like, I love what you're saying is that, for you to go into a group, especially in the kind of mental health fitness classes, that what they call it?
Fitness, yeah. We use a lot of rugby terminology in sport because it connects. It's a barrier to men opening up.
It'd be good to explore that if we could.
Absolutely.
Okay. But one of the things that for me is that if you're asking people to be vulnerable, sometimes it's quite nice for you to, and they often say this, don't you? If you can open up with vulnerability, then people are more likely to model that behaviour. Whereas if I've always used this analogy that, teachers, you said it, didn't you? How your daughter calls you out.
Oh, yeah.
If you're saying this is a behaviour that I expect, and then you don't model your own rules of behaviour, but your daughter calls you out, you kind of go, well, you're a fair cop.
Yeah, you're right.
But again, it happens at all things. If you're walking in and asking a group of men to be vulnerable, but you're not prepared to be vulnerable yourself, then there's almost a level of hypocrite, isn't there?
I think that's just, it gives me the ick when leaders won't do the thing that they're asking the staff to do, or coaches aren't willing to entertain a conversation, but yet we're supposed to just absorb and take your word. Why not challenge things? Why not challenge? Let's have an interesting discussion, and then we'll see where we land. And if nothing else, we know each other a little bit better on the back of it. Yeah, with mental fitness sessions, I will open up. I will be vulnerable, because then coming from a sport like rugby league, arguably one of the toughest to play, men seeing that, or groups seeing former athletes open up about the struggles, and I'll speak about mine. Maybe not in as much detail to start with, but yeah, it certainly helps them to go, right, okay, you understand, they've been through something, I'll listen, I respect that. I think that's what it is.
And how is that normally received?
It's something that probably some of my best friends don't even know, which is funny. Been best mates with these lads for 30 odd years now, nearly 40 years. Well, that's all right. We don't have to.
No, you don't, yeah. But I'm just thinking, if you're like you mentioned that you turn up to some of these sessions on building sites or with builders. What is the kind of what are the changes that you've seen in these individuals in the sessions?
I think initially there can be a resistance. Yeah. It's not exclusive to building sites. Suicide rates are high, so that's why mental health is quite prevalent in construction manual.
Right. Okay.
For obvious reasons, time away from home. So there's a resistance initially. There's a bravado that goes with it, similar to rugby.
Yeah.
And I'll say, I've been in environments like this. I was a builder at one point. I was terrible. Which is why I went carrying on.
Play rugby.
Yeah. So the resistance initially, then obviously I'll share my story, or the presenters or a team of facilitators that do the same thing will then maybe make that person check themselves and think and reflect on what they've said. But also, if they don't want to listen, they don't value it, that's cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be for you. In the past, I may have been like, well, you need to listen to this because the evidence shows that construction workers are 4 times more likely to die by suicide.
Right, okay.
But I will present that, but in a slightly softer way. So it's kind of like soft coaching. I don't know what the correct term, or you probably be able to describe it better. Because going with a hard-hitting approach is risky. I think it's so risky. So rather than presenting the evidence and saying, well, this is why I like to do it, from my experience, there's a body of evidence that shows that this is why these tools are supportive. It's up to you if you try it.
I think there's a thing in transaction analysis where you meet people at an adult level. So there's the parent adult child mode. Yeah. So I think sometimes that preachy thing is, I'm going to sit in parent, you're going to sit as child, and I'm going to tell you how to live your life. Yeah, 100% right. And whereas actually, if you meet people adult, so you're a capable adult with all the skills to do what you need to do, and I'm a capable adult with all the skills to do. So I've got some skills here that I think will help you hopefully live a more optimal life and prevent you being a statistic that I could potentially share.
Yeah.
What you then choose to do with that situation, unfortunately, is outside of your control.
Absolutely.
But I also think that, and that is kind of one of those important things. And it's also quite, I'm sure, quite difficult because you obviously know the statistics, you know, and they're quite high. And I don't know what the, you know, I know there is, mental health is, especially in men, is high. It's probably not talked about enough. We probably talk about it enough because it's the part of the culture that seems to be of the community, both me and you involved in through jiu-jitsu, that we do talk an awful lot.
Yeah.
Probably not talked open enough, but in other environments it's not. So I think, you know, I love the fact that you're doing that. Those soft touches are like planting seeds, aren't they?
Yeah, lovely.
And you just hope that, you know, then going away. And if that then is, you know, if that seed then starts to grow, even if it's a step in the right direction, or it makes you stop. You know, you talk about reflection a lot. You imagine if that little seed is in the head and then reflection is part of the watering and growing. And that's I guess the other challenge. How can we ever know the impact we make?
Well, we evaluate.
Oh, okay. So you do.
We evaluate all of our programs.
Okay.
But no, you're right. I think, but thinking about my own journey and thinking about other people, this is what I try and communicate during a session. It's not like you leave a session, you leave a conversation, and you've got, right, I've got that skill from Andy there. I'm great. I can unlock my pelvis. You're great. It's not that. It's work, and then it's on reflection of actually I handled that situation in my life a lot better. Actually, my daughter feels like she opened up today. What did I do differently?
Yeah.
Maybe it's that. So it's a reflection for me.
Nice.
So you can go into the neuroscience of it. Yeah, I believe that it's an investment into the future, the skills that we're acquiring now. And you don't know the payoff until you're tested and you're forced to test those skills.
And sometimes because the skills become familiar, we forgot what we were like before, don't we?
Exactly.
You know, it's the analogy of, you know, I've always said that I'm not a very, you know, if I was to teach any kind of clinical skills now, I'd probably be really awful to a graduate because I've almost forgotten all the shortcuts I've had to make. Because, do you know what I mean? It's like there's so many habits that I've created because I've been doing it so long that actually they would look at me and go, how have you gone from A to Z? And I've gone, oh, because da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But it wouldn't be obvious. But I've almost forgot what it was like to redevelop those skills. And I think sometimes that we have to then, you know, and that's why self-reflection from, you know, I mean, I would argue that I'm probably an over-reflector. Sometimes I have to then have a conversation with my inner critic because as I'm reflecting...
That's a fun podcast to record.
On my own. That's my normal conversations with myself in my head. Every time I take my dog for a walk is I over-reflect and then my inner critic kicks in and then I have a conversation with my inner critic. And then... But also it's like you then go, okay, actually, this is why. And like you were saying, you can put it to things, can't you? Of going, actually, this is why this happened or this happened or this happened. And I think it's really strong. So I'm conscious, is there anything that kind of, because one of the things I loved about this conversation was the fact that of all the podcasts we've done, the prep you've done for this is phenomenal. And we can't go without acknowledging, one, the preparation you did for this, and two, the fact of congratulations that you got your red belt in your, we didn't put that in your judo this morning.
It should have been in my bio.
I know it should have been, and I apologise for that. And this is it was.
No, thank you.
Congratulations. Is there anything that
you're not going to bow or no?
Afterwards? Yeah. Well, yeah. Is there anything else that you think is important that we discuss?
It's well, I think we've gone off the track a little bit, but I think it's been useful. No, for me, grappling, BJJ, judo, they all tick the same sort of box for me. It's a place where I can have a community, I can learn, I can fail. My ego can't really exist too much because we find out every 6 o'clock in a weekday morning. So for me, that's been really helpful for my mental health, but also It's given me friendship, it's given me community, it's given me purpose, it gets me up in the morning. Again, reiterating those values of discipline, hard work, all that kind of stuff. So that's been good. I think if we're talking about culture, and well, I mentioned earlier about being captain of Newcastle, that was one of the proudest moments because that felt like it was always an ambition of mine to lead a team.
Okay.
So then I think that came at the right moment because I was setting the standards myself. Whereas earlier on in my career, I was obeying the standards by other people and not having the courage to push back.
Okay.
So towards the back end of my career, after therapy, after the journey, well, not after the journey, but after that period of time, I feel like I really understood myself. I was like, oh, you know what, this is what we're going to do and this is why we're doing it. And I feel like the coaches recognise that and rewarded me with captaincy. Plus I was the oldest player. So it might have something to do with it.
No, let's go on with you've got the traits. There's the traits.
I think that comes with age, doesn't it? You call it wisdom. For me, it was that. I was like, fully understood myself. I knew what I wanted to be. I knew what the identity of the team to be. So that was that. But it just came by leading by example, leading by myself. And then other people will follow, and if not, cool. You're not mad people.
Okay. Yeah, and
that was with the rugby
accepting. Yeah.
Rugby environment.
And how do you then take those leadership skills forward? Because obviously what you're doing is some amazing work. How do you take the skills that you've got now into kind of optimizing people, or, thinking about kind of now moving into advice for the listeners? So kind of how you've developed these skills and this self-awareness, all of these things that you're now bringing into the charity, and it's amazing work that you're doing. And, it generally is. And I follow the work you do, and it does make me smile, and having conversations with stuff you do makes me smile because I think you're putting an awful lot of good in the world. And, and I think and I'm buzzing that we've had the opportunity to sit down and chat through this. So what do you think those traits, if listeners, what could they be working on? Or what are the kind of 3 practical things that people could start to develop today?
Tough because I've got 4.
Well, let's go with 4 more. They get more value for money.
I'm going to be decisive. So self-awareness is obviously key, isn't it? A lot part of when I was doing the work on myself, it was actually understanding what values drove me.
Okay.
So what I connected with deeply. So for me, I did the establishing your personal values.
Yeah.
Because we can live outside our value system and not even know it. So
Yeah.
lack of self-awareness can lead to obviously materials, behaviours in other ways. Or you can do a character strength test, which is quite fun. So via strength.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you can do them for free. Yeah, they can. Yeah. So we can drop the link in.
Yeah,
this I've got the link.
It's quite useful.
Yeah.
To see what you might need to work on or what you're good at.
Yeah.
Practice mindfulness every day.
Yeah.
That's something that I like to do. My brain and my body are connected. Well, we're talking earlier about thoughts rattling around in your head. And you get strangled by somebody. Yeah. You don't have to think about much about work, about relationships.
No.
You're just thinking, help. Oh, what do I do here?
Is my hand free enough to tap?
To tap, please. Why am I going light-headed? So there's that. And the last one is reflect hard. So on conversations, reflect. If something was a bit of tension with somebody, reflect. Why was the tension? What did you bring to that situation? If something's gone well, brilliant. What did you do well? What enabled this sport, this session to work as you intended it to do? So reflect hard. I'm always obsessed about reflection.
Can I add a caveat to that?
Absolutely.
So can I add reflect hard, but through the lens of being kind to self?
Compassionate to yourself.
Because I think one of the things that a lot of people do when they reflect is they put guilt or blame or add a negative connotation to that.
Yeah.
Where if you see it through the lens of you've behaved in the way that you've done at the time because that's how you've done it. But as reflecting, if, actually on reflection, I could have done that better. You have to be kind to yourself and go, okay, I can take this as a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's not a stick to beat yourself with. It's an opportunity to learn to become a bit better, 1% better.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, really be kind to yourself.
The lens of compassion, I like that. You reframed it, and I'm gonna borrow that.
We should get t-shirts.
Yeah, we should. That's the next.
Your lens of compassion.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So, what one principle that you wish every leader understood?
One principle is communicate. Communicate early, communicate often. Because a lot of the time, I feel like we assume that other people understand what we intend.
Yeah.
Or the words coming out of our mouth don't make sense in my brain compared to your brain. It means something else to somebody else. So get the understanding, get the agreement with each other. So, are you clear? Do you need any more information? How could I provide more information to help you understand this? You see it from my perspective. Communicate often, early, clear, reflect, review. Yeah, that. I've been in situations where people don't communicate. I've been the person that doesn't communicate, and then got moody because they don't understand what I'm saying. You know, so like,
it happens.
and then equals one here. Like,
Yeah,
I've been part of the
yeah.
experiment. So yeah, I see huge value in communicating.
Love that. I asked a question of how to turn insight to action. So curious then, what actions could people be taking? So kind of, you know, we've gone on quite a journey over the last hour.
Yeah.
What actions could people be taking to move? And you can take that in the direction. Is it a growth mindset? Is it to become more self-aware? What actions could people be doing?
For me, I journal. So
Okay.
that's my accountability.
Nice. Yeah.
Journal. Sometimes I'm more invested into it than others. I won't lie, that's just me being honest. I get mentored.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Professionally. And I'm curious.
Yeah.
So for me, it starts with you. It starts with you. It starts with me. Yeah. So I journal, I mentor, I value that, and I'm curious about everything.
Beautiful. Where can people find you? Follow you? Follow the charity? Just in Wigan. Still up in Wigan.
No, so I'm on Instagram, Bob Beswick _ I think. Charity is rugbyleaguecares.org.
Yeah.
If you want to hear anything else, it'd be very.
What are you working on next? What can we next expect from you or charity?
Just being a better father, better husband, better friend.
Love it. One final challenge you'd like to set the audience?
All right, it's a bit different.
Okay.
Find somebody that strongly opposes something you believe in. Find out why. Sit with them. Understand it. Don't judge. And try and see it from their perspective. You'll be well-rounded on the back of it. Or you'll never see that person again. But I think it's a useful tool to sit opposite people with opposing views and hash it out in a respectful way.
Leaning into curiosity.
Yeah, definitely.
Love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Before we close up, anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
No, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you a lot, mate. It's been amazing. Thank you.